Welcome to Keeping It Real, the largest podcast made by real estate agents and for real estate agents. My name is DJ Paris. I am your guide and host through the show. Today is our monthly series called Unpopular Real Estate Opinions with Chris Linsell. Now, Chris Linsell is a real estate technology analyst and director of content at large. He specializes in new solutions to old questions, constantly exploring the cutting edge of technology in the real estate space. Chris also has many years of experience as a licensed realtor in the state of Michigan. He has worked as a marketer, a digital strategist, and a trainer for major national brands like Berkshire Hathaway Home Services of Michigan, and Coldwell Banker Schmidt Realtors. Throughout his real estate career, Chris has been part of hundreds of transactions, ranging from modest rural starter homes to multi-million-dollar waterside compounds. He's an accomplished musician, actor, and speaker, and Chris has engaged with audiences ranging in size of 30 to 3,000. He is always speaking. He tours around the country speaking at conferences that you probably attend or would like to attend, including Inman, National Association of Realtors annual conference, and lots of regional conferences and also individual brokerage conferences. So anyway, check him out on LinkedIn. You can find him there, Chris Linsell, Linsell, or go to his website, chrislinsell.com for speaking engagements and just to follow him. Chris, welcome back to the show.
DJ, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
A lot to talk about. So
Boy,
can I start with something that is just apropos of nothing? And I just wanted to make a sort of announcement to the audience because I thought this was not an announcement, but just kind of a revelation. So yeah. I've listed my own property for sale, and I talk a lot about how I'm not a practicing agent. So I've had, thankfully, a lot of help because I've asked a lot of the top producers that have been on my show every step of the way. Am I doing this right? Is this a good idea, good strategy? And by the way, I've got some incredible advice. So if anyone out there is working kind of in a silo, reach out to the top agents in your area. Like, I was shocked. There's a guy who is, I'm trying to put an offer on another property. And I said, hey, can you give me some advice? You're listing this property. I'm listing mine. Could you tell me like what you would do? He's like, oh, here's what you do. And then I went, and I went to 5 other people. So please do that. Reach out to the top producers in your area and befriend them because boy, they were telling me things that I would have never thought to do. And so that was really cool. The other thing I would say is I have a newfound respect for realtors. Anytime when I'm like recruiting a realtor, I might send an email out. I understand now how many emails you guys are getting. I am shocked at the number of, and I'm not talking about emails from other agents that I'm getting now that I have a listing. I am talking about all of the marketing emails I am getting from different services that are scraping my email because I'm on the MLS and all over online with my listing. Oh my God, I have received probably almost 20 emails in the last 24 hours from different companies pitching me. And I've just unsubscribed from all of them because I'm like, oh my God, now I totally understand why people do not respond to some of my emails. So newfound respect for agents who deal with email management. Like, boy, you got a tough road there. That is brutal. So anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there.
DJ, I just want to break it to you. We don't get all those emails. You're just really popular. Everybody just wants to reach out to you. So.
Well, I get a lot of emails that seem to be written by AI. So I don't know how popular I am. Maybe in the robot world, I'm popular, but it is. I'm not getting a lot of calls. I'm getting a lot of emails that seem to all say the same thing in the same way. By the way, I will say this one. I was at a conference this last week, and we were talking about using AI, and they said, please, if you are using AI for your listing descriptions, please, for the love of God, make it a well-formed prompt before you type it in there. Don't just say, rewrite this for me, because it will rewrite it for you in the exact same way that it does for everybody else. And so if you do not know how to write a well-formed prompt for ChatGPT or any AI engine you're using, just learn about it. It takes 5 minutes. You can learn how to write a good prompt and you will get a much better response. They were joking about it, that it is so obvious to other agents when that is done. And it doesn't make you look professional. It's not a good idea. And you can write a better prompt, and most agents don't know how to do that. So you'll be ahead of the competition. So just a little advice there. Go on to Google, or YouTube, say, how do I write a good prompt? You will learn it in 5 minutes, and then you will get a better result when you need AI help there. So just my little advice.
To that end, now, and I'll let everybody know, I didn't ask DJ to tee me up like this, but next week, My team at Luxury Presence is releasing a white paper called the Ultimate AI Prompt Guide for real
Awesome.
estate agents. It is all about learning how to prompt.
Yes.
The current word count on this is, I'm looking right now, we're just north of 15,000 words on this. So
That's
this
yeah.
is the equivalent of a small paperback book, that in depth we go on how to operate uh, prompts in AI, how to construct them, what the different pieces you need for for an effective prompt. We have over 60 examples of completely formed Mad Libs style prompts that you can copy and paste, fill in your own information. But we teach you start to finish how to operate prompts. I say that right now. It's we're recording this on October 24th. The guide's not out yet, so if you're listening live, sorry, I just gave you the trailer to this, but I can't actually take you to the movies yet. But by October 29th, we should have this out into the world. So if you are looking to get better at prompts, and it's after October 29th, head to luxurypresence.com. You'll find advertisements for it there, and we're gonna share it out to the world. But yeah, if you don't know how to prompt, you don't know how to use AI. That's not what we're talking about today, but it's just so cogently true. I mean, if you are not effectively prompting and teaching yourself how to improve your prompts literally every day, I spend time on this every single day. You are falling behind, because that is how to get better at AI, is getting better at prompting.
And I will give everybody a quick 2-word. These 2 words will improve every prompt you do, and this is not the only thing you need to do, but this is the newest thing that I've been doing, and is called think deeply into your prompt.
Mm.
Think deeply is has been recommended by AI prompt engineers. It's a newer addition specifically for ChatGPT. I don't know if it works for the others, but ChatGPT, it will actually take longer to answer your prompt. You will know that it is at the very least taking longer to answer your prompt, which would suggest it's doing more. And by the way, too, Zillow is now integrated into ChatGPT, which is a whole nother. We could talk about that. We probably won't get to that today, but that's another thing we should talk about. Is what is the implications of Zillow now and ChatGPT? What is that partnership? What is the benefits and what's the potential pitfalls to the agent community there? But anyway, think think deeply. Add that to every prompt and try it. Try it without it and with it, and notice the results. See how the change there. So, but yes, there's a lot more to learn than just that. So Chris's
Mhm.
white paper will show you how to do that. We'll give a link to that the moment it comes out.
Great. Fantastic. It'll be phenomenal. So come on over. I'm really proud of the team. We've done some great work on it.
And now, if the white paper isn't done, you could add the think deeply part if you guys find value in that. I promise you, it is
Good thinking.
absolutely worth it. All right, what should we talk about today?
Well, I mean, there's a lot happening in our space right now, but and it's been a little bit. It's been a minute since you and I have connected. But the thing that I keep coming back to, the big news item that made a splash right when it happened, and it has really polarized folks, is the announcement that Compass has offered and has an accepted offer to acquire Anywhere real estate. And this is a big deal on a number of levels, and I have some pretty interesting, contrarian, maybe even surprising takes on this. But let's kind of stick to the heart of the show here. Unpopular real estate opinions. I am gonna say, my first unpopular opinion on this topic is that this is a massive deal, but it is not a massive deal for the reasons that most agents are worried about. Certainly not the reasons that news outlets are kind of fear mongering you about.
Let's pause for a second just to make sure our audience knows this. I don't think every agent out there knows what anywhere means. And don't be embarrassed if you don't, because you probably wouldn't unless you somehow knew this. And we are talking about brands like Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Better Homes and Gardens. Oh gosh, what
Mhm.
else? Now there's probably a couple other big boys in there.
I mean, there's a ton. They're the largest real estate conglomerate in the United States, in the world. The Anywhere brands include, Better Homes and Gardens, Coldwell Banker, Century 21. Let's see here. I'm just pulling up the list because there's so darn many of them. Let's see here. Coldwell Banker, Corcoran,
Oh,
ERA,
Corcoran, that's right. Yeah.
Sotheby's International
Oh, yeah,
Realty.
Sotheby's, that's right.
I mean, they're talking 18,000 offices, 300 plus thousand agents. This is actually a number from last year, so I bet you it's more now. I mean, put it into context. This is roughly almost 20% of the total number of real estate licenses in the United States currently hang under an Anywhere brand. So it's massive. It's massive. Imagine 1 out of every 5 items at the grocery store all being made by the same company. That's the scale that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And so it's a big deal that Compass would offer, would create this offer for acquisition, and it's a big deal that Anywhere would accept it. And here's why most of the media will tell you this is a big deal. First, they'll tell you this is a big deal because Compass is not anywhere, no pun intended, it's not anywhere close to what Anywhere Real Estate is in terms of company identity, operating strategy, philosophy. I mean, Anywhere is a company that has brands under it that existed in the 1920s and have been doing business in these legacy models for a long time. I mean, certainly longer than all of us that are listening to this have even been in the business or even been alive. Whereas Compass is a very modern, tech forward. They move more like a tech company than they do like a real estate company. And I know Robert Refkin would be thrilled to hear me say that. So Robert, if you're listening, you're welcome. They make moves and strategize much more like a tech company than certainly than a legacy real estate brand. And so there is a significant load of concern around the disruption that this is going to cause, to both to the real estate business, like the real estate landscape, as we have such a major consolidation, but also to the operating procedure of those 300,000 plus licensees that are currently living under Anywhere's different flags. Those agents didn't sign up to be Compass agents, and we know how acquisitions work. Like this is business, but it really is. It's like signing up to be a bus driver, and then instead of handing you the keys to the bus, they hand you hand you keys to an F1 race car. You're like, this is not what I'm prepared for, nor how I like to drive. So there's a lot of concern happening there, and that level of concern has been a significant fuel for the headlines that you're reading on places like Inman and Housing Wire. So it is a big deal. And for all of those reasons, the news and media love it. But I'm here to posit today that it is not a big deal for all of those reasons. It is a big deal, but for other reasons. I'll pause right there if you have any feedback on kind of chapter 1 here.
I will give you my only small little take that probably won't interfere with any of your takes, which I mentioned to you sort of privately behind the scenes, because a top producer mentioned this to me, who is a Compass agent here in Chicago. And I was with him the day the news broke, and we were just doing something. And I said, "Hey, this is really interesting. What does this mean to you?" He's already a Compass agent. And I thought he would say, "Oh, it really doesn't affect him at all. Like, he's already on campus, no big deal. Competition is still competition as far as his agents. He's still in competition with those other agents for business." And he said, "It's really bad for him." And I said, "Why is that?" And he said, "Well, think about it. I just lost bargaining power because those other companies like Coldwell and Century 21 and they compete for me. They want me and my hundreds of millions of dollars of annual production to come to their firm. And now I just lost because of the way that the anti-competition edict within Compass organization exists as it is. My understanding is they're not allowed to, now again, I don't know if today they're not allowed to compete because the deal hasn't technically gone through. But anyway, he said, I got less people wanting me now. And that's bad for me because now from as a top agent, and I think what will be interesting is, does this help the independent brokerages who now couldn't really compete? And maybe now, since there's less players, maybe they can compete for some of these higher producers, or at the very least, maybe that becomes more attractive to an agent. I don't know. That'll be interesting, but to see. But anyway, I'm an independent brokerage, so I don't know how it affects me at all. But anyway, I thought that was interesting.
I think you're right, and it's important to point out too that most of the brands, in fact, I think all of the major brands under Anywhere operate on a franchise model. So even though there may be everybody, even though everybody at the Century 21 organization has the same, basic logo on their signs. Those offices are independently owned and operated, and so you hypothetically you can even have competition within Century 21 franchises if you happen to have more than one franchise in markets. And so to your point, yeah, competition from a recruitment standpoint changes pretty significantly. But where this feels like a very big deal to me, and where I continue to get kind of side eyes and groans when I bring this up, but I'm going to keep bringing it up because it is important to talk about, is what this move does in the relative to the conversation that has been simmering for a while around Compass's position for their desire to have their own kind of walled garden MLS experience and not work with the traditional MLSs in anywhere the same capacity that the traditional like legacy brands do, and what that actually means for the industry at large. So think about it like this. Compass, and I'll be the first to admit, I'm not inside the Compass boardroom. This is from an outsider perspective, just what I observe. But it feels to me a lot like if Compass had their druthers, they wouldn't put anything on the MLS. Everything would be a Compass exclusive. You'd have to go to a Compass website in order to see the listings offered by Compass agents. Whether or not you think this is ethical or in the spirit of business, like, let's set all of that aside because those aren't decisions that we're making right now. This is a good idea if you want to increase the number of sides that Compass agents close, because instead of going to local MLSs or other places, unrepresented buyers and interested sellers are going straight to the source. They're not going to a third party. They're going straight to the source of somebody who can help you facilitate your real estate business. And you're going to capture more sides of transactions that way. It's just the math of things. That's how it works. Now, who would this affect most dramatically? It would affect places that depend on their ability to access the data of the MLS, the comprehensive property availability that is the MLS, thanks to clear cooperation, thanks to the MLS's requirement. And, we've seen some loosening on this, but essentially the de facto requirement that any property marketed publicly for sale has to be listed on the MLS, save for a few minor exceptions. There are some major brands that their business model depends on this pipeline of uninterrupted data and inventory. And the first, middle, and last company here is Zillow. Zillow depends on the MLS being the complete source of truth for what property is on the market and for sale. And if Compass goes in and says, we're not going to put any of our inventory on the MLS, well, that means that all the Compass listings won't show up on Zillow because those are, there's that IDX feed won't power that any longer. This was a headline deal when we first started fighting about this, but the actual effect on inventory was relatively small because Compass didn't have a huge swath of inventory. They have a ton of inventory, don't get me wrong, but relative to the entire market, a relatively small portion. Imagine what happens when if this merger goes through and all of a sudden all of the anywhere inventory becomes Compass inventory. Now, something like 20%, maybe more, frankly. I don't even know what the estimates are, but I would say a minimum of 20% just gets the lights could just get turned off from the Zillow feed. All of a sudden, Zillow has an existential problem with
Yeah.
their business.
Yeah, they're no longer going to attract the level of the consumer when the word gets out that they're missing, whatever percentage of listings from or 20% of the agent listings, we should call it. So if
Yeah.
that feed gets shut down, and Compass now has a real fighting chance to make the case that maybe shutting down the feed to Zillow isn't the world's worst idea, although almost maybe a game of chicken to see who will blink first, because it's interesting to see what, right now Zillow owns that consumer market
Mhm.
and Compass does not, or Compass brand does not. They own maybe the agent market, if anything, but the
Mhm.
consumer market, they don't care about that. They just want to go to the place with the most listings.
Yeah,
So
it's the
could
truth.
they could you have two players that are battling for that position? Zillow certainly is the only player battling for that position today, and all of a sudden Compass now has a fighting chance. So I don't know.
It's fascinating because at the end of the day, this also has implications on broader IDX distribution, which includes to agent websites. I mean, if the IDX is no longer a reliable way to deliver the comprehensive market to whatever the third party source may be, we're talking about it in the context of Zillow, but remember, like search on an agent's website or a broker's or a team's website is kind of a non-negotiable these days. Um, if that search turns off, that will change the strategy of a lot of people. But ultimately, what I think is to me is one of the bigger kind of parts that not a lot of people are thinking about. And again, I get a fair amount of groans when I even bring this up, but think about it also in terms of the following. Zillow has not been this kitten cowering in the corner of the real estate prop tech and residential real estate business for the last 20 years. Their business has grown significantly and not horizontally. They have grown vertically. They have grown into virtually every aspect of the residential real estate transaction. They have uh they have affiliated or direct businesses in every single stage of the real estate funnel. I mean, they have certainly have a stranglehold on leads and lead delivery, but Zillow has home loans, they have insurance services, they have DocuSign in transaction management. I mean, uh, they have a hand in every single stack of
CRMs.
CRMs. Follow Up Boss is a Zillow company. They have a piece of just about every stage. And again, I'm not in the boardroom here, so this is my outside speculation. But as an interested observer, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if Zillow has plans on their roadmap to go all in to take the curtain away and make this a brokerage, that we are not just a platform. We are now a brokerage. We have our own agents. We can represent you in the purchase and sale. And by the way, we can represent you with a loan and with home insurance. And we'll power your agents' experience. Or all Zillow agents and non Zillow agents will power their search experience. I mean, this is really a play from the outside, it looks like, to control the entire experience. And this puts a fundamental threat into that plan. And the timing to me is curiously appropriate, because when I first heard about the Zillow, or excuse me, about the Anywhere Compass acquisition deal, my first thought was, there's no way this is going to pass regulatory muster. Like, there's no way this is going to make it through antitrust. And I'm not trying to be political here, but then I remembered who the administration and their current stance on big business, on tech, on monopoly and antitrust. And genuinely, I don't think there is a better time that Compass could have made this play. And I bet you 6 weeks ago, Zillow was thinking to themselves, I don't think there's a better time for us to move forward with our plans to become a brokerage.
Right. They're
And
both benefiting.
they were both angling from that, and Compass came in and really did kind of the gangster move of like pulling the rug out from underneath Zillow, if that was their plan. I don't know if it was, but as an outside observer reading the tea leaves, this is what feels like. It's what I would have been doing if I was in that boardroom. So,
Sure.
at the end of the day, this becomes somewhat of it's like an episode of Severance. I mean, this is like there's some boardroom intrigue happening here, but it's not all just like armchair quarterbacking either, or in Monday morning kind of coaching here. I think there's some real things that agents and teams and operators in the real estate space need to be thinking about right now, downstream of this. The first is just a gentle reminder: your clients do not care what brokerage you're a part of. Maybe some of them have some vain kind of attachment to a particular brand. Like there certainly are certain brands that have kind of an attachment of kind of prestige or kind of brand connotation. That's one thing, but for the vast majority of clients, they remember who you are. They don't remember who your brand is. They couldn't tell you what the logo is on your sign. On your sign, they can tell you that your name's on the sign, but that's it. So if you're worried about this from a perspective of, where am I going to work? I don't want to work for, I don't want there to be any confusion. There is no confusion. If your brand is strong, then your brokerage, this is just an add-on to your brand. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is use this as an opportunity to talk to your clients, to your community. Hey, this is big. This is happening. Here's why it matters to people who own homes, who want to buy homes, and who want to sell homes. This is a chance for you to inject yourself into the conversation as a thought leader, even if your thought leadership doesn't extend to listening, to my, grumpy ass every once in a while. Like, you have things to say here, say them. Your clients, I guarantee you, your clients, your prospects, and your community will benefit from your perspective because they don't have the boots on the ground experience in selling real estate that you do. So if you share your perspective based on, the context of your expertise, you add value to them. And every time you add value to them, they're more likely to come back to you.
I'll give you just a interesting conversation I had with the Zillow executive, not related to this particular piece of news. This is 10 years ago. And we were joking about, they were nice enough to show me around their New York offices. And I was laughing with them. I say, God, boy, brokers really hate you, or agents, I should say. We call them brokers in Illinois, but agents really, really talk about how they have an active distrust. Not everyone, but a lot do. And I said, and I was talking about this estimate in particular. I go, I hear that over and over again. It's like, this estimate is so inaccurate. And one of the Zillow executives said something I thought was really funny and something that I think agents should hear. And even though it's 10 years old and you already know this, it's a good reminder. Zillow said, agents should be really thankful that we're not as accurate as they are with their individual CMAs. Because if we were, imagine what that would do to the relevance of an agent. Like if we were actually 100% on the nose, and we have all the data, like we're pretty close, but we're not 100% accurate. And every agent knows this. Like, imagine what this makes. It really makes the question of like, what's the relevance of the agent? And the agent's more than just valuing a home, but that's a big part of it. So,
Huge part.
So keep that in mind when you are talking to clients, because I think there's a tendency to want to like trash places like Zillow. And yeah, that's fine. I mean, I don't think you have to remember your clients go to Zillow. So I'm not saying defend Zillow and I'm not saying trash them, do whatever you want. But one of the things that you can do to leverage sort of the inaccuracy of something like his estimate is bring that up in conversation. Talk to your clients and say, you know what? This estimate is going to say one thing. I have a lot more experience than their algorithm does in this particular market. I've been doing this a while. Let me
Mhm.
tell you what I think. And just as a little action step, so you can still have the conversation and use it as an opportunity to make yourself more relevant. And today it's probably more important to do that than ever, especially with AI. And
Mm.
AI, by the way, ChatGPT and Zillow just integrated, right? If you haven't seen that, it's in there and it'll ask you to connect those two. And that's also really interesting. And that's a whole nother conversation of what does that mean? And we don't know yet, but
Mhm.
certainly it's interesting. So
Yeah.
make sure you're talking to your clients.
Totally, 100%. It's wild because, um, as AI continues to accelerate, we are going to continue to see the the clear separation with a bright white line of complex tasks that can be more accurately and more consistently executed by AI that we once thought were agent only tasks that required a certain amount of experience to do, but what we were actually mistaking for this requires a certain amount of experience. We were mistaking that for a certain amount of nuance. And right now, we don't have AI models that can replicate the nuance and understanding of the experience and the situation the same way that agents do. But the reason I am so confident that those we're going to see a much brighter dividing line, and there's going to be stuff on the AI side of that line that you did not expect. The reason I'm so confident of this is because we have seen this before. It wasn't in real estate, it was in the game of baseball. I mean, if you are a fan of baseball and baseball movies, you know about the story Moneyball, about the idea of building a baseball team. Used to be all in feel. Used to have these scouts who would put together a baseball team based on their years of experience of just watching a guy throw a ball. And the Oakland Athletics came in. They had the smallest payroll in the entire game, and they said, we don't need to spend tens of millions of dollars on these big marquee charismatic players. We just need to figure out exactly what the stats are that move games from the loss column into the win column. And they did that using math. They did that using these formulas, these algorithms, statistical observation. They removed that experience factor and replaced it with cold hard facts. And then they could just spend their time doing the things that only people could do, which was build relationships. So I want everyone who's listening to this to think about, and you can think about this in the context of the Compass Zillow conversation too. Think about the fact that there are a whole bunch of things that you do right now that require your nuance and background that eventually AI will be able to replicate. But there are certain things that you will not be able to hand off to AI, and they require building a relationship with another person, establishing trust with another person. That is going to be your job very soon. It's already your job, but that will be pretty much your only job pretty soon. And on the backdrop of the Compass Anywhere acquisition conversation, there's lots of ways for you to do that. Maybe it's as a Compass agent. Maybe it's as a Century 21 agent. Century 21 owned by Compass. Maybe that merger won't go through. Who knows? But what I do know is all of this froth in the market and in the prop tech and brokerage space around this conversation is ignoring the fact that ultimately it is your relationships with your clients that drive your business forward, not the name, not the logo on the brokerage. If you can stay strong there, you're going to be continue to accelerate your business. That's where the money gets made.
Yeah, and I also think this is a great opportunity to remind agents to make their voices heard also at their association level. Talk to the local association, um, you know, uh, your constituents there and the people who work with the state association and also the national association. Make sure that you have people fighting for your interests. We
Mhm,
have a brokerage who is essentially going to possibly own 1/5 of the brokers out or the agents out there. We have a tech company that is, in basically every part of consumer experience and an
mhm,
agent experience.
mhm.
And I'm not saying those are bad things. Of course, we don't know where that's going to lead, but it's certainly a conversation to have. And you get to hold your associations accountable for at least giving you some guidance there and talking to them and raising those questions because their relevance is now sort of coming into question is
Yep,
how important, what are they doing for agents, and you get to ask those questions to them. So at the local, state, and national level, sound off, make sure that you're being represented, and talk to the people who are in leadership at those all three of those local, state, national level, and let them know what you think and tell them where your fears are and ask them, what do I say when? And they will, that's their job, is to help you, navigate that with your clients so that you have good answers to questions. And it's tough as an agent to sort of follow the news. There's so much out there, and you're just trying to grow your business and keep it running. So definitely hold those people accountable. And
love it.
you're paying them a lot of money, so you might as well.
100%. Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, I think this is probably a great place for us to wrap for the day. We went through the Anywhere potential merger and Compass Anywhere merger, and also talked a little bit about some regulatory stuff. So I think this is a great place to pause for this episode because we have
Mhm,
a lot more to get into next month. And want to remind everyone, as the year is wrapping up and the sales season typically is known to slow down, that this is a great time to not take your foot off of the gas because a lot of agents will. And if you just do the things that the top agents are doing, which is they don't slow down in these markets. They might slow down in the number of listings they have because that's just what happens, but they're doing other things. So don't make the lack of number of clients that you may have today versus 2 months ago sort of dictate how many hours you're putting in, because this is the time to pump in those extra hours when
mhm.
the competition is sleeping. And trust me, most people are going to relax and enjoy the holidays and probably take it a little bit easier. um, Try to push yourself to do those marketing efforts, those relationship building efforts. I mean, this is the season too. We're coming into the holiday seasons, which is all about connection with family and friends. And a lot of agents consider themselves, their clients are sort of friends and some degree family, and this is a time to show them how much you care and how much you are how they are important to you. And this is the time to do it. And so just keep productive, and when that spring market rolls around next year, you will see the fruit of all of those seeds that you're planting right now. Is let everyone know how important they are to you in your database. And boy, you will find too that most businesses, I mean, if you think about it, there are so many service industries that I have individual representatives for. And how often are they really doing relationship building with me? And I'm not saying they all need to, but like, are any of them, really, I can't speak to too many that are actively trying to make me feel special. Now they do a good job. Their particular business and their aptitude for their service is great. That's why I have
Mhm.
them. But are they really checking in on me to see how I'm doing? No, I think in real estate we have this unique opportunity to really be part of somebody's personal life, and not to say that you're crossing boundaries, but you know what's going on in their lives. You're following them
Yeah,
on social. You now have this opportunity to sort of take that information and make somebody feel special, and it doesn't take that much. And trust me, their attorneys aren't calling them, their accountants aren't calling them, their financial advisors hopefully are calling them, but that's probably about it. And their dentists aren't calling them. These are people that they're all employing, and you're in that same space. So make them feel special.
totally. It is the season, and yeah, the growing season on leads is long. You don't just, water it once and then expect fruit. These leads take months, sometimes years to nurture. Build your pipeline, stay consistent, stay patient. It pays off.
Well, chrislinsell.com is where you can go to learn all about Chris and also read some of his opinions, which you can find him on Twitter, LinkedIn. He's on all the social networks. So definitely feel free to check him, see what he's writing about and talking about, and also to check his speaking schedule on chrislinsell.com. He is likely coming to a conference near you. And if you are looking for a speaker to represent your association, your brokerage, or any sort of organization that you think he would be beneficial at, he is ready to talk. So reach out to him. He's got lots of wonderful presentations and thoughts. Obviously, you hear him talking about it today. He knows what's going on, and he is always going to be a great speaker for any event you might have. So reach out to him. And on behalf of our audience, thank you, Chris, for your time today. On behalf of Chris and myself, to the audience, thank you for sticking around. Please tell a friend about this podcast. Let them know that you find value, that you think that this would help them in their business if you think it would. And that helps us out a lot. And that's how we've grown this podcast, was just by asking people to tell one other agent. So please do that if you would be so kind. And also leave us a review. Let us know what you think of the show. And we always are wanting to improve and make changes to better meet your needs. And also, please check out our sponsors. They're the reason we can keep doing these episodes, and we are so grateful to them as well. So everybody, as you get into the holiday season, we're going to keep pumping out episodes. Please keep listening, and we will see everybody on the next episode. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, TJ. Talk to you soon.